A 10-year-old boy walked alone into one of the most powerful financial towers in America and asked a question that froze every adult in the room. He wasn't lost. He wasn't joking. He wasn't supposed to be there at all. What happened next would expose a fortune so dangerous it forced his father out of hiding, silenced a room full of millionaires, and put a child at the center of a secret powerful men had waited years to reclaim. This is not a story about money. It is about a promise, a hidden truth, and the moment a child is forced to choose between fear and courage while the whole world is watching. Ethan Miller was 10 years old when he learned that silence could be louder than laughter. He did not rush when the glass doors of Hudson Crown Financial Tower slid open. He did not hesitate either. The lobby was vast and cold in the way places built for power often were, marble floors polished until they reflected people back at themselves, as if demanding they measure their worth before taking another step. Men in tailored suits spoke softly into phones that cost more than Ethan's entire wardrobe. Women with perfect posture walked as if the building belonged to them. Ethan adjusted the straps of his worn backpack and walked straight ahead. Every step echoed, not because the lobby was empty, but because no one expected a child to be there, especially not a child dressed in thrift store sneakers and a faded blue hoodie, holding a clear plastic folder like it was something fragile and alive. He had practiced the words in his head all morning. He reached the counter at the entrance to the VIP floor. The desk was wide, flawless, guarded by a man whose smile had been trained to be polite without being kind. "I just want to check my balance," Ethan said. The man blinked, slowly, as if he were deciding whether this was a joke or an inconvenience. Conversations around them began to slow. A laugh drifted in from behind Ethan, low and amused. Someone cleared their throat in a way that suggested entertainment was about to begin. "Kid," the man said, leaning back slightly, "this floor is for private clients." "I know," Ethan replied. His voice did not shake. "My grandfather told me to come here." The smile hardened. "Children's accounts are handled downstairs." Ethan nodded once. Then he slid the folder onto the counter with both hands. "My grandfather passed away last week," he said. "The account is under my name now." That word "passed" did something to the air, but not enough. Not yet. A few people glanced over, curious now, like they were watching a scene unfold that might turn awkward or funny. The man behind the counter glanced at the folder, but did not touch it. "What's your name?" he asked. "Ethan Miller." "Oni." The man typed it in lazily, already certain of what he would find. A child's savings account. A disappointed mother waiting somewhere downstairs. A quick dismissal. Then his fingers stopped. He frowned and typed again. His shoulders shifted. He leaned closer to the screen. The laughter behind Ethan faded into whispers. "What is it?" someone murmured. The man swallowed. His hand hovered over the keyboard as if it no longer belonged to him. He cleared his throat. "Who exactly was your grandfather?" he asked. Ethan met his eyes. "The only person who never lied to me." The man stood up so suddenly, his chair scraped loudly against the floor. Heads turned. He glanced around the room, then leaned forward and lowered his voice. "Please wait here," he said. "Do not move." He disappeared through a side door, taking the folder with him. For the first time since entering the building, Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. Not fear, memory. "I promised you, Grandpa," he thought. "I came." A woman approached him cautiously. She knelt to bring herself to his height. "Are you here alone, sweetheart?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "My mom is working." The woman's expression shifted. Something like shame crossed her face. She stood and stepped back without another word. Minutes passed. Long ones. Heavy ones. When the door finally opened again, two men emerged. The first was the manager, now pale and rigid. The second was older, with silver hair and eyes that did not miss details. He extended a hand toward Ethan, then paused and let it fall to his side, remembering who he was speaking to. "My name is Mr. Reynolds," he said. "I oversee this floor." Ethan nodded. "We need to speak with you privately," Mr. Reynolds continued. "You are not in trouble." Ethan did not ask why. He followed them into the private room, where the walls absorbed sound and the air felt heavier than it should have. Inside, the folder lay on the table. Beside it sat a small golden key that caught the light. "That belonged to your grandfather," Mr. Reynolds said quietly. Ethan's throat tightened. "He said it would matter one day." "It does," a woman said from the doorway. She wore a charcoal gray coat and carried a black briefcase. Her movements were precise, calm, like someone who had walked into chaos many times before. "My name is Rebecca Hayes," she said. "I was your grandfather's attorney." Ethan stared at her. His grandfather had never mentioned a lawyer. He had never mentioned a lot of things. Rebecca opened her briefcase and removed a sealed envelope. "This letter was meant to be opened the first time you requested access to your account," she explained. "Your grandfather prepared everything." Everything, the word echoed in Ethan's mind. Before she could continue, the door burst open. "Don't let him see it." The voice was raw, desperate. A man stumbled into the room, breathing hard, his hair disheveled, his eyes wild with fear. Behind him came Ethan's mother. "Ethan!" Sarah Miller cried, rushing forward. She dropped to her knees and pulled him into her arms. "I'm here. I'm so sorry." Ethan barely felt her hug. His eyes were locked on the stranger. The man's gaze found his, and something invisible snapped into place. "How do you know my name?" Ethan whispered. The man's lips trembled. "Because I'm your father." The room went still in a way that felt unnatural. "No," Ethan breathed. "My dad is dead." Daniel Miller shook his head, tears spilling freely now. "I never left you. I disappeared because they were coming for us." Sarah sobbed softly, one hand over her mouth. "He was supposed to stay hidden," she said. "Your grandfather made him promise." Rebecca exhaled slowly. "The account," she said. "It was always the account." Daniel nodded. "Your grandfather didn't just save money. He took it from people who believe power belonged to them forever. People who do not forgive losses." Ethan's heart pounded. The screen on the wall glowed faintly, a loading bar frozen halfway across. "If I see it," Ethan said, "they'll know." "Yes," Daniel replied, "and they already suspect." Silence pressed in on all sides. Ethan looked at his mother, at the fear she had carried alone, at his father who looked like a man who had lived 10 years without breathing, at the attorney who had guarded secrets, at the bankers who had laughed minutes ago. Then he thought of his grandfather's voice, calm and steady, telling him that truth always costs something. "I don't want to run anymore," Ethan said. Daniel shook his head. "You don't have to decide today." "But I do," Ethan replied. He straightened in his chair. "Because he trusted me." Rebecca's phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen, then looked up, her face drained of color. "They know he's here," she said. The words settled like a storm cloud. Ethan stared at the frozen loading bar again, at the door that could not be closed once opened. He took a slow breath. If you were 10 years old and the truth could change everything, would you choose to keep going? Yes or no? The room felt smaller after Rebecca Hayes whispered those words. They know he's here. Ethan did not fully understand who they were, but he felt the shift immediately. It was the way his father moved closer without touching him, as if afraid that even comfort might attract danger. It was the way his mother's breathing became shallow, controlled, like someone bracing for impact. It was the way the two men from the bank stopped looking like executives and started looking like witnesses. The frozen loading bar on the screen glowed softly, halfway complete, like a door stuck between two worlds. Who knows? Ethan asked quietly. Rebecca did not soften the truth. People who have been waiting a long time for this account to wake up again? People who believed your grandfather's death would give them access. Daniel's jaw tightened. They never expected Ethan to walk in himself. Sarah reached for her son's hand, her fingers trembling as they wrapped around his. You shouldn't have to carry this, she whispered. You're just a child. Ethan squeezed her hand back. He felt strangely calm, as if something inside him had already made peace with the weight settling on his shoulders. What happens if I don't look? He asked. Rebecca answered carefully. The account remains dormant. The protections stay in place. But the questions won't stop. They will keep searching for leverage. Daniel swallowed. They'll look at us, at you, at every quiet corner we've tried to hide in. Ethan stared at the screen again. He thought of his grandfather's house. The smell of old books and black coffee. The way Henry Miller used to sit across from him and say that money was never the story. People were. Grandpa said secrets rot, Ethan said softly. He said the truth hurts once, but lies hurt every day. Daniel closed his eyes as if those words cut deeper than any threat. Rebecca stepped closer to the monitor. Ethan, before you decide, you need to understand what's at stake. Your grandfather left you 3 choices. She opened the letter again, her voice steady but heavy. The first option is immediate access, full control, full exposure. The world will know your name. Some will smile, others will not. Ethan imagined cameras, strangers, his face everywhere. He imagined his mother flinching at every knock on the door. The second option is protection, Rebecca continued. The assets remain locked and managed until you turn 21. You stay out of sight, you grow, you prepare. Daniel let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. And the third, Rebecca said, quieter now, is to walk away, reject everything, live a normal life untouched by all of this. Silence followed, not the awkward kind, the heavy kind that presses on your chest and asks who you are when no one is watching. Ethan swung his feet slightly beneath the chair. They still didn't touch the ground. "If I walk away," he asked, "does it make all of this disappear?" Rebecca shook her head. "No, it only means you won't have a say in what comes next." Ethan looked at his father. "You ran to protect us." Daniel nodded. "I did." "Did it work?" Daniel hesitated. His eyes moved to Sarah, to the years they had lost, to the life lived in shadows. "I don't know," he admitted. Ethan felt something shift then, a quiet anger. Not at his parents, at the idea of being small when he didn't have to be. "I want to see it," he said. Sarah's grip tightened. "Ethan, I don't want to run from something I don't understand," he said, his voice stronger now. "If they're already watching, I want to know why." Rebecca studied him for a long moment, then she nodded. "If this is your choice, we move forward." Daniel shook his head once, then stepped to Ethan's side. "Then I stand with you." "So do I," Sarah said, her voice breaking but firm. The adults repositioned themselves instinctively, forming a quiet barrier around the boy in the chair. Ethan placed his hand on the mouse. His fingers trembled, but he didn't pull away. "Are you ready?" Rebecca asked. Ethan inhaled. "Yes." He clicked. The loading bar moved, slowly at first, then faster, as if the system itself had been waiting for permission. Files flashed across the screen. Documents, deeds, transfers, accounts layered on accounts, names of places Ethan had never been, and numbers too large to make sense of. Then the final screen appeared. Total protected consolidated assets. The number filled the display. Sarah covered her mouth. Daniel staggered back a step, one hand braced against the wall. One of the bankers whispered something that sounded like a prayer. Ethan didn't say anything. Nearly $500 million. It didn't feel real. It felt like standing too close to the edge of something vast and dangerous. "That's why they're coming," Rebecca said quietly. "This isn't just wealth. It's leverage, influence, power taken away from the wrong people." Daniel dropped to one knee in front of Ethan. "This changes everything," he said. "For better or worse." Ethan stared at the number, then looked away. What surprised him wasn't fear. It was clarity. "What do I do now?" he asked. Rebecca didn't answer. She waited. Ethan thought of his grandfather's hands, rough and warm. He thought of the promise he had made. He thought of the girl he had seen weeks ago sitting on the steps outside his school, trying to finish homework with a broken pencil because no one noticed her. "I choose the second option," Ethan said. Relief washed over Daniel's face. Sarah let out a shaky breath. "I want the money protected until I'm 21, Ethan continued. "I want time to grow without being hunted." Rebecca smiled softly. "A wise decision." "But," Ethan added, lifting his chin, "I want something else too." Everyone looked at him. "I want part of it used now, not for me." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "For kids who don't get choices," Ethan said. "Kids who feel invisible. Grandpa always said a heart that helps is worth more than a hand that takes." Silence fell again, but this time it felt different, lighter, hopeful. Rebecca nodded. "We can establish a foundation in your grandfather's name." Ethan smiled faintly. He liked that. Outside the private room, the bank was quiet. No laughter, no whispers, only the awareness that something irreversible had happened. Ethan stood between his parents, smaller than both of them, but somehow steadier. The truth had been revealed. The danger had not passed. But for the first time, Ethan felt like he wasn't being carried by the storm. He was standing in it. If you were in Ethan's place, knowing the truth would put your family at risk, but also give you the power to help others, would you still choose to move forward? Yes or no? The decision did not end the danger, it changed its shape. In the days that followed, Ethan's life shifted into a quiet kind of motion. There were no sirens, no dramatic chases through city streets, no strangers knocking on their door in the middle of the night. Instead, there was planning, protection, layers of calm placed carefully over fear. Rebecca Hayes moved quickly. Legal barriers were reinforced. The accounts were sealed under a trust so complex it felt like a maze, even to the people who built it. The foundation Ethan had asked for was registered under his grandfather's name, its purpose written in clear, simple language. Education grants, emergency support, quiet help for children who would never make headlines. Daniel did not disappear again, but he did not return to the life he once had. He stayed close. He learned how to be present without being exposed. Every morning, he walked Ethan to school, standing just far enough back to let his son feel normal, close enough to step in if the world shifted again. Sarah slept better than she had in years, not because the danger was gone, but because secrets were. For the first time since Henry Miller's death, the house felt honest. Grief was still there, but it was shared now, spoken, held together. Ethan went back to being 10 in the ways that mattered. He did homework at the kitchen table. He forgot to put his shoes away. He laughed too loud at things that weren't that funny, but something inside him had changed. He listened more. He noticed who was quiet in a room. He noticed who was pretending to be strong. The first check from the foundation went out quietly 3 weeks later. No press release, no ceremony. Just a transfer to a school counselor who knew a boy whose parents had been working double shifts and still couldn't afford textbooks. Ethan never met that boy. He didn't need to. One evening, Daniel found him sitting on the floor of his bedroom, the clear plastic folder open beside him. The golden key lay in Ethan's palm. "You still keep it close," Daniel said. Ethan nodded. "It reminds me why." Daniel sat down next to him. For a moment, neither spoke. "I'm sorry I wasn't there," Daniel said finally. "I thought protecting you meant staying away." Ethan leaned against his father's shoulder. "You came back when it mattered." Daniel closed his eyes. That was enough. Months passed. The threats faded into background noise. Not gone, but contained. People who had been waiting for chaos found only silence. The account did not move. The spotlight never turned on. The world lost interest, as it always did when nothing flashy happened. But lives were changing quietly. The foundation funded tutoring programs. It paid for medical evaluations that schools couldn't afford. It helped families bridge gaps that had once felt impossible. Rebecca made sure every step was protected, every action deliberate. On Ethan's 11th birthday, Sarah baked a cake that leaned slightly to one side. Daniel lit the candles. Rebecca stopped by briefly, bringing a card and leaving quickly, respecting the boundary between work and life. Ethan made a wish before blowing out the candles. He didn't say it out loud, but Daniel saw the look in his eyes and knew it had nothing to do with money. Later that night, Ethan stood by the window, looking out at the quiet street. He thought of his grandfather, of the way Henry Miller used to say that a legacy was not what you left behind, but what you put into motion. "I think I get it now," Ethan whispered to the glass. The future did not feel heavy anymore. It felt open. Years would pass. Ethan would grow. He would learn. He would make mistakes that had nothing to do with wealth and everything to do with being human. When he turned 21, the world would learn his name, but not because of the number attached to it. They would know him because of the choices he made long before he was expected to make any at all. On the anniversary of Henry Miller's death, Ethan and his parents visited the small cemetery on the edge of town. There were no reporters, no flowers from strangers, just the three of them standing together. "I kept my promise," Ethan said softly. The wind moved through the trees. Daniel rested a hand on his son's shoulder. Sarah held his other hand. For the first time, the story felt complete. Not because everything was perfect, but because it was honest. Because fear had been met with courage. Because power had been answered with kindness. Because a 10-year-old boy had walked into a place built for adults and chosen a path that did not harden him, but shaped him. And somewhere between that first step on marble floors and this quiet moment under an open sky, a legacy had become something more than money. It had become meaning. If this story moved you, how did it make you feel, and what do you think about the choices Ethan made? If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment below, tap like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell next to the subscribe button so you never miss our latest videos. Let us know which country you are watching from, and please share this story with someone who might need it today.